Président, passer le pouvoir à un anglophone. Si on était bien au pays, est-ce qu'on allait prendre la route de l'aventure? Ah, mais c'est le président. Un pauvre qui vote pour celui qui l'a rendu pauvre. Si on était bien au pays, est-ce qu'on allait prendre la route de l'étranger? Ah, mais c'est le président.
Hi, friends of the Cameroon, the beautiful people of the Cameroons, ladies and gentlemen. This is a party political broadcast by myself, Maitre Alex Ndive Lisinge, the leader of British Cameroon National Party. Today, I have come to talk about the causes of war. Is it possible to prevent war? Yes. Is it possible to avoid war? Yes. And that's why I want to talk about the causes of war. And in fact, I want to look at it in connection to the Cameroons. To the best of my knowledge, if La République du Cameroun, the president, does not call for a Constituent Assembly, my prediction is that there is going to be a real civil war in the Cameroons. I'm not talking about what happened or what is happening in British Cameroon at the moment. I am not an evangelist or a prophet, and I don't want somebody to go and quote me that Maitre Alex Ndive Lisinge says there's going to be war in the Cameroons. Nigel Farage, the leader of the Reform Party in the UK, predicted that there was going to be a war in Ukraine, between Russia and Ukraine, and we have a war today. He was not saying that he loves to see war there, but somebody with an expert knowledge can see into the seed of time and tell you that if the government of La République du Cameroun does not call for a Constituent Assembly to prevent an unpreventable war, then we will have ourselves to be blamed. I say unpreventable, why? Because if you look in the Cameroons, there are things that are happening and the government doesn't care. When I'm talking since 1960, so it looks unpreventable. But to me, with my expert knowledge, these wars are preventable, but unfortunately, we have a lot of poodles in Africa that they will prefer to see the blood of our people spilled rather than them to take preventive action. If you look at Rwanda, why was there a Holocaust there or a civil war? It's because the majority, the Hutus, they were in power. They were discriminating against the Tutsi. If you look at Sudan, majority Muslim or Arabs, 95%, they wanted to impose Sharia law on the minority. They are Christians in Sudan. So because people like to marginalize others, they like to discriminate, exclude others, those are the major causes for war. If you look at European countries, all ethnicities, they are recognized, they govern themselves. even in America and other Western countries. But in the Cameroons and other African countries, it's one size fits all. That's why we have war. So war is preventable, but in Africa it's unpreventable because the despots that are in power, they prefer to see the blood of our people rather than them to bring a just and equitable system. So, ladies and gentlemen, I study European history in the Cameroons and English history, and also I'm quite versed with the American War of Independence. I want to take these two examples and look at the causes. Because once as you look at the causes, it's possible to prevent the war. But the government of La Republique du Cameroun, to the best of my knowledge, they don't want to prevent war. You cannot use one size fits all in any country, especially the countries like the Cameroons, which have got 250 ethnicities. So you cannot be imposing a certain system on everyone. That's already a recipe for war. Let's start with the main causes of the American War of Independence. You have taxation without representation. It is self-explicit. You're taxing people and they don't have representation. Example, like in parliament or like in government. I'll give an example. In British Cameroons, there are people who pay their taxes. I'll give you this example. There have been an ongoing crisis since 1984. Mr. Biya trying to assimilate the Anglophones. Fongodi Vinca told Mr. Biya, changing the name of this other country is secession. Mr. Biya did nothing. 1990s, we have SCNC, we have Southern Cameroon, we told Mr. Biya, he did nothing. 2016, 2017, nothing. So they are not willing to listen. But why? People are paying their taxes. Then Mr. Biya have a rubber stamp parliament. The aim or the objective of parliaments all over the world is one. When you have problem, the parliamentarians, they take their local problem, they go and debate it in the House of Assembly, as they call it in Cameroon. But they don't do that. So people pay their tax, they don't represent them. People pay their tax, they don't have electricity, they don't have water, they don't have pipe-borne water, they don't have basic necessity. That's taxation without representation. Because if an MP says, I come from Fako, if you don't go and talk about the problem in Fako and debate it in the National Assembly, so it's taxation without representation. That is why the Americans, the colonies, they rebel against the British government. That's one of the causes. British colonial policy was another reason, one of the reasons why we had the American War of Independence. These people, what were they doing? They were making laws, Quartering Act, Intolerable Act, infringing upon the colonial autonomy and their liberties. That's what they were doing. Like, you see what is happening in Sonara. Sonara is in Victoria. It's a Bakure land. But when you go there, most people there, they speak Bassa. Nobody wants that. Even in the United Kingdom, if you go to some people, they are Cartier, and you try to impose foreigners, they are majority to do something, you bring resentment. That's what was happening in America. The colonial policies, they were imposing military. They can go and stay in certain houses and to the disadvantage of the colonies. So that's one of the causes of the American War of Independence. And when the local people wanted to complain in America, the British government used force, brutality. We see that in the Cameroons. When people want to complain, they use force, military, tear gas. That's one of the causes. So I'm not the one saying there's going to be a war in the Cameroons. I'm bringing you the point by point. You have also enlightened ideas. You have people like Locke, Thomas Paine. These people, they said, we as human beings, we have natural rights, social contract. And if the government does not respect, because we are the one who gave some of our liberties to the government to govern us, if they don't respect it, you rebel when the government is oppressing you. So enlightened ideas also led to the American War of Independence. The desire of self-determination. Many colonies in America, they say, look, these British people are maltreating us. They are treating us badly in our own land. The best way we can have our liberty is to ask for complete independence, to secure our liberty and to control our destiny. That's why one of the causes of American War of Independence. Then let's go now to the French Revolution too. The French Revolution had similar causes. The reason I'm saying, all over the world, whether in the Cameroons, we have similar things. Oppression, discrimination, stigmatization, exclusion is the same thing. In the French Revolution, one of the causes was the estate system. They have different estates. They have the first estate. The first estate was made of clergy, Catholic clergy. There were a small group of people. They were not paying tax. Poor people who pay tax, they live privileged life. That was the first estate. Then you have the second estate, which was what? Nobility. It was about 2%. They too, they were very small. They don't pay tax. So you have class, like class system, caste. They discriminate where you were born. If you were born in this family, you become the first estate. You were born on this, the second estate. You were born on this family. In short, it was about discrimination, the same thing. Then you have the third estate. They were peasants, laborers. They were paying tax to support the first and second estate. Poor people were paying tax. So that led to what? To the French Revolution. So you have what we call also absolutism. I know some of us might want to refuse it. That's one of the cause. The king of France, he believed that he have divine right of king. His power comes from God. He can do whatever he wants to do. He can turn water into wine. Mr. Biya has been in power for 41 years. Mr. Biya does what he wants to do. We don't see him. He comes presidential degree. Nobody can rule a country if you're not a king for more than 42 years. Mr. Biya has been in power for almost 60 years. Prime Minister, Secretary General, he has divine rights of king. We saw Fam Dongo. He said, Mr. Biya say NDA. So Mr. Biya does what he wants to do. They use the money of the taxpayers. They don't ask your opinion. They don't tell you what you do with the money. So that's absolutism. That's one of the causes of the French Revolution. So when I say there's going to be war in the Cameroons, I'm not saying, oh, we want war. But you look at the things that have led to war in other parts of the world. You see the Cameroons, you know, we too, we are heading towards that direction. If Mr. Biya and his government, they don't call for a Constituent Assembly. Then you see too, just like the American War of Independence, you had enlightened ideas too. Same thing. Same thing, enlightened ideas. You see, most people thought that this problem that is happening in Cameroon started in 8 years ago. No, we were the philosophers. We have been talking since we were children. We used to walk all over Cameroon, Yaoundé, Bamenda. We're talking, we're giving that idea that look, we are being marginalized and we're enlightening people. So we were the philosophers, enlightening people. So today that idea that we used to talk more than 30 years ago now, everybody is enlightened. There's social media, we talk about it. So we have enlightened ideas today. Then the French Revolution, there was also food shortage. I don't need to explain. A hungry man is an angry man. You know that one. Then the French Revolution was also inspired by the American War of Independence. So my point today, I'm saying, there is going to be war in La Republique du Cameroun. Why? There are people who have been in power for a long time. They don't pay tax. Have you ever heard, do you know how much Mr. Biya pays for tax? In the United Kingdom, in America, Biden pays tax. Mr. Biya, we don't know whether he pays tax. We don't know if ministers in Cameroon, they pay tax. We don't know if MPs, they pay tax in Cameroon. So the people who are there, the bourgeoisie, the top people, not bourgeois, top people in Cameroon, they don't pay tax. They have free carburant. That is it, petrol carburant. They have free bomb, innit? They have free house, free driver, free car. So they don't pay tax. It's just like the French Revolution. So they live for free. Poor people, they are going to pay ID card. They will take the money for ID card and live their free life. So people are not happy. Those are the things that they are doing. So there's a potential civil war. Please don't quote me that matter unless the singer is saying there's going to be war. I went to school. I studied a history which was designed by La Republique du Cameroun, French Revolution, the English history. We know American War of Independent World Affairs. When we go to school, we study that history. We come practically, we analyze it. We look at the situation in our country. Is it a country that is peaceful? It's not peaceful. The same thing that we study in French Revolution, American War of Independence, the causes, they are happening in Cameroon. And Mr. Biya doesn't want to prevent it. So there's going to be war. I don't have power or I don't have guns to say, oh, let them be war. I'm looking at what I study, history. I'm trying to look at it practically in Cameroon. There's food shortage, enlightened idea, absolutism, and taxation without representative. The MPs are rubber stamp parliament. So I'm looking at all those things, looking at John Locke and Thomas Paine, the philosophers, what they said, that we have natural right. It is our right. People always say, oh, the government doesn't need to give us right. If I gave some rights to the government, they call it social contract. Okay, take this right and fight and prevent us and fight crime, maintain law and order, enforce law. That's what we have given to the government. But the government is using it to oppress us. So, and when you use those rights and oppress the people, John Locke and Thomas Paine say, the people have a right to rebel against oppressive government. Look at the gendarmes, the police in Cameroon. They are supposed to fight crime. But what do? They use their power to oppress us. They use their power to attack us. They use their power to stop vehicle, ask for 500 francs CFA. That's what they do. They don't fight crime. In Cameroon, when somebody is attacking you, you call the police, they say they don't have petrol for their car. So they receive taxpayers' money. They pay poor people's money and they don't do anything. So ladies and gentlemen, if Etudi is listening, if Mr. Biya is listening, listen to what I'm saying. We are heading towards a real serious war, so you can prevent it. The reason why I'm making this video is to tell you so that tomorrow, don't say you did not know. There will be war in Cameroon if you don't change your way. You should call for a Constituent Assembly. Let's prevent the war, because the same situation that happened in Rwanda, in Sudan, in America, War of Independence, in the French Revolution is happening in Cameroon today. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a prophet. I'm looking at history, what have happened in other countries, and I'm saying, if the government doesn't change its ways by calling us to have a Constituent Assembly to change this system that's been run by France, we are going to have war in our country. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. This has been a party political broadcast by myself, Maitre Mola Alex Ndive-Lissinger, the leader of British Cameroon National Party.
Vraiment, au Sénat, il y a